Good evening, SRA Nation.
We're excited to get this season off with a bang.
I think they're all taking tires. And on top of that, it's going to be saucier. It's going to be an all-out shootout to the end. He's got line of sight on these guys.
I commend you for the bravery. He's getting this close to the diffuser.
All you gotta do is win the race. You don't have to lead a whole bunch of laps.
Oh, they're going to be side by side coming into the next corner.
Oh, that's a big contact in the back of the field.
Can't stay out there like this.
He stayed in it!
We're off and away for SRA.
Hello, motorsports fans, or, well, at least simulated motorsports fans. We're back once again with the Sim Racing Alliance. Once again, I'm Andrew Reif, joined by none other than Andrew Berg, again, very handsome name, and Selena Boonstra. We got Week 5 in Division 5. It is the Circuit Ricardo Tormo Valencia for this week, and, well, we had it in the wet last season. It was a bit of a barn burner, and now we've got it in the dry this go-around, so the driver's going to have a little bit of an easier time with the grip, but I expect the action will be lighting up the track, no less. Guys, how are we feeling about this one? It's been a lively season, I think is a very generous way to describe it, up until this point. So I'm expecting a little bit more fun and potentially a little bit more yellow flags this go around.
Yeah, Valencia, tight track, right? Just shy of 2.5 miles, but one of my favorites. You mentioned it, Circuit Ricardo Tormo Valencia, home of my favorite MotoGP rider, Aaron Canet. But this one's tight. It's flowing. It's got some unique turns, double apex blind, near 180 turns. 4 of them, in fact. It's a tight one out there. Sure, isn't it, Selena?
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Especially one of the corners that point out to me is turn 12. That turn is, I believe, a chicane or whatever you want to call it, and that is very tight, and to see drivers try to mitigate or try to overtake each other there will be quite difficult, because that also includes track limits, so that's also going to be another tough one as well at T12.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, what about T13, the final turn, right? That's a downhill left-hander, very, very easy to go in hot there and get track cuts. So someone's going to make a mistake. There's plenty of runoff. Use it, just don't use it to your advantage.
That's very true, and of course, I mean, talk about overtaking opportunities. Of course, you have to talk about the turn 2 hairpin as well. And of course, I mean, just looking at the track map, it's a very technical circuit. Sectors 2 and 3 are where everybody's going to be making those really good moves through the infield, of course. And you mentioned, I mean, moving down from turn 13 into turn 14, the end of the lap. Also a very prime overtaking spot, but one that you could go a little bit deep on if you're not careful. As you mentioned, use the runoff, but not to your advantage. And let's try to have it a little bit clean down there at the end of the lap. There's a couple of different lines you can take through there, but critically, spotting your braking points during a very, very close race here can be a little bit challenging, as many, many drivers use the white marks on the side of the track. So if you get your vision a little bit obstructed, then you might have to play it by ear and see what happens. But that being said, let's take a look here at the driver's standings to see who are the ones to watch out for today. And it has been a bit of a shakeup from last week, but Josh Grush still sitting at the top of the pile, if only by a couple of points from second place, the runner-up Austin Red for T-Rex.
Yeah, so the championship's now starting to take shape. We know the contenders. So at the top, you mentioned it, Josh Grush with Fear Nothing Moto versus Austin Red with T-Rex. So when we left you last week, the difference between them was 10 points. Rodriguez was hit with that penalty. It was a 10-second penalty, if you recall. Turn 1, lap 1, he made a bump. Spun Dan Rufus around, race over for Dan. That pushed him down, Rodriguez, down to 5th. And Austin Red got promoted to the podium. So now that gap was 10. On your screen now, it's just 3 points.
Looking down the list as well, Tyrell Foster, a driver that we talked about, has been very, very clean with their overtaking so far this season, sitting down in 6th place. Very deserved as well. Solid pace, and like I said, massive potential to overtake. They started from the pit in the last race. That's the 998 in the Aston Martin to watch out for this time around. I believe they're going to have a proper qualifying session, so look to see some moves from Tyrell Foster, maybe finishing farther up the order. Donovan Colton also very, very strong on the pace as well. But a little bit less so. Ren Aoki with a big win last week in 4th as well. So there's a lot of big stories coming out here from drivers who are very talented in some different respects as far as on-track action. But looking a little bit farther down the list, we see P16 critically, David Herrera, 145 points. I do not feel is necessarily reflective of his speed on track. But we saw last week, sometimes he can become a little bit of a car magnet. So I wish him the best of luck moving forward. Christian Maurice matches their points just about 1 point ahead. Connor Yetzierski also kind of in the mix there. So the midfield is getting a little bit heated up. Lots of positions to be gained if you can have one solid finish, and Valencia is the place to do it. There's going to be a lot of chances for you to express your speed on the track. I mean, any one of the top 15 drivers are ones to watch out for today. Speaking of, though, James Spiker leading the silver standings. So down there in 7th place in the overall, which is rather respectable for a silver driver in the first place, but leading in P1 by quite the margin from Nathan Schaefer in 2nd. So keep an eye out for that one as well. We'll take a look now. Page 2 of the driver's standings. Just at the top of the list here, we've got Stephanie Fisher, a very solid driver in that. Dan Rufus down in 29th. Sure would have liked to convert that pole position into a P1 finish, maybe even a podium, but no, has fewer points in total than they would have gotten if they had just managed to keep that first place spot last week at Indianapolis.
Yeah, that was a shock pole for him at Indy. The fun just didn't last long. He got to turn 1 and was facing the wrong direction. So does Dan Rufus have another shock pole here at Valencia? I sure hope so. He's going to need some points, though, tonight.
Porsche strong here as well. I mean, Selena, speaking to that, we've seen some very, very competitive times on the table. I think the best one that I saw for the Hot Lap leaderboard so far from Division 5 was a 1 minute 31.2, which is a blistering speed. That's a little bit faster than even myself, which has been kind of ridiculous. But I mean, talk about Dan Rufus, potential for recovery here. Porsche, strong pace at Valencia. Do you have any thoughts?
Honestly, 100%. Like when I first did my own practice race session, and then I guess it's also a combination of just understanding the track too, because for some reason it just clicks for me. And the Porsche combination, it's perfect. Like my best is a 131.1. So I mean, I think this is definitely the Porsche's track for sure, honestly. It feels amazing.
It really does. Getting rotation on power here in the Porsche is just, it's bliss. But,
I know. Sector 2 just feels like when you get it, it feels amazing through those corners. Just like, woo, woo, just
really
basically
does.
like skiing, I guess. Going in and out, and it feels great.
Yeah, so this is your weekly reminder to that the Porsche 992 GT3 is factually the best car on the grid. No, that's generally not true, but it might be one of the most satisfying cars to drive. That one's a bit more subjective opinion, but I mean, wrapping up here on the driver standings before we switch over to the team, I want to mention real fast, Thomas Maw, 38th place right now with only 48 championship points. They did have a couple of involvements in some incidents in the last week, but very, very strong promotion from Division 6 before now. So they are one to look out for alongside DZ in 35th position. Managed to put up 68 championship points, so a little bit stronger of a finish in total. They kept it a little bit cleaner at Indianapolis, but also a promoted driver to keep an eye out for. We'll take a look here at the team standings as the drivers begin to move out towards the end of the pit lane to start their outlaps for qualifying. We've got Corsa Spazzatura way up at the top. It's James Spiker, your number 1 in the silver standings, followed by Tyler Thompson, who's putting in a very strong run for the overall win.
Yeah, Corsa Spazzatura, Italian for garbage racing. They're running away with this championship. So does Tyler McCulloch and Josh Grush have anything tonight to close that gap? Those are the drivers in Fear Moto, currently in P2. for the team championship.
Plenty of racing as well. Mike Cowley looked like they were fairly strong in the last week alongside Kent Van Sickle, who has shown that they had strong pace. Specifically at Kyalami, they put up a very, very solid race there before having some unfortunate incidents. Snetterton was much the same story, so Kent Van Sickle continues to look for some form, really. Some consistency. He kind of reminds me of what we had in Austin Whitescarver in the last season, if he doesn't mind my calling him out a little bit, in that, you know, you got really, really strong pace, you look fairly good on track, but you just can't help but getting into some sort of an incident, whether that's having another car contact you, or, well, just having you make a little bit of an error on your own. So as we prepare for qualifying here, it looks like, oh dear. I'm going to go ahead and not cut it over just yet, because it looks like my stream package might not be in the right spot that it's supposed to be in. I don't know what has gone on here. Hang with us for a second.
While he fixes the stream, we are not going to have Kent Van Sickle this week, so that's 2 rounds in a row. A little under the weather coming into the race, so no Kent Van Sickle. He was certainly a fun driver to watch. Do expect him back next week and for the rest of the season. That's going to put a damper on his championship hopes. So no Kent Van Sickle. His teammate, though, will be here. That's Cowley on screen in the black and green Ferrari 296.
Yeah, thankfully we got things sorted out. Let me know when you're ready to take the picture-in-picture, by the way, my good friend. And we can start getting that one up. Who is it that's leading the pack here? It looks like it is Spiker. Who's out first? I can't say I'm necessarily surprised by that. Very strong driver in terms of pace and has a lot to prove. Again, the silver leader at the moment will be the first one to set a hot lap during quali here. At least I believe so.
Picture in picture will be, should be ready for you.
There you go. All right, let's go ahead. Throw that one on up there and... Oh, maybe not.
Maybe not.
We'll
We're getting there.
Make sure to get my my overall up as well. Looks like lots of drivers queuing up, and we'll just keep that one on the down low for now. I think it might just be having some issues right now, but we'll see what happens. Track
I will get you a new video link, Andrew. So stand by.
Let's do that. Nice. Something about F it, we'll do it live. I think that's how the phrase goes. Track starting on fast here for qualifying. 30 degrees Celsius, so a fairly grippy temperature, but not quite rubbered in as much as you would like. Spiker taking a little bit wide there through the very challenging corners 10 and 11. A little bit of a double apex with the braking zone beginning in turn 10, not quite getting all of turn 12. But Selena, you talked about it a little bit earlier. Turn 12 is one of those that you want to commit for, but if you send it too hard, I mean, it's a lot easier. It's a lot better, I would say, for your general health and safety if you don't quite send it as hard as maybe you could through turn 12.
Yeah, because track limit warnings is definitely there when you go out way too wide. And also not just track limit warnings, like there's a dip in that curb, and that, depending, like, I guess what your setup is, you're gonna, like, your car is just gonna be so unsettled through the whole thing. So it's really best if you look out for that and not send it too hard through that corner, because that is definitely going to be crucial for the race.
Gaps are coming in. I'm on board with Steven Music right now in the McLaren, which is a historically fairly strong vehicle at this track. If I'm not mistaken, I think that the current lap record is held by the McLaren 720S GT3 Evo. Very, very good car, by the way. I know that I've been on the Porsche train, but I did happen to race this one last season and did fairly well for myself, so I have to say that I'm generally a pretty big fan. But the pole time right now, 132.2. I expect that to get into the 131s with a relatively pedestrian effort. It looks like Rudderim has gone off here. They're just letting some traffic on before they rejoin safely, which is always wonderful to hear. And that the McLaren does currently hold on to the pole time, I should mention. But like I mentioned as well, I don't really expect that that's going to hold. We got James Spiker on a bit of an improvement, almost 1 second up into the last braking zone on the track. Here it's turn 14 onto the main straight using all of that exit curve, and they're about a second and a tenth up. So this is going to be a massive improvement here for Spiker, and I expect more.
Biker was pole at Kyalami, remember, but it's Ian Demler still holding on. He came off a great result last week, did Ian, at Indianapolis. He was 9th. So does he hold on to this here? Fastest silver driver, Ian Demler.
Solid stuff. Ralph Cab just came across the line with a reasonable improvement. I think we've got the PIP up right now, so let's go ahead and... No, it doesn't appear to be the one to work for us, so we'll have to continue to work on that, but... So yellow for Rotoram and Mertzen. Looks like they are a little bit off track. That looks like a turn 12 exit. Mertzen trying to take a little bit too much of that sausage curve, potentially just letting some drivers by. So no worries there. It's really nice to see. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. D5 has been a little bit all over the road in terms of hitting other drivers. So it's nice to see them at being a little bit extra cautious here. Dan Rufus about 4.5 tenths up on their time, as they get into the meat and bones of this track in Sector 2.
You said it, not the best as far as cleanliness. 19 drivers were assessed penalties at Indianapolis. There's only 33 drivers in the field.
That is the majority of them. That's...
Yeah, I'm not the best at math, but that's definitely more than 50%.
Yeah.
15 drivers out of those 19 were assessed time penalties. Just 4 warnings.
Jeez. Yeah, it certainly is a bit of a look when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, but more times coming down the table. I mean, it happens, right? It's racing. We went car racing.
Yeah, 100%.
As they say. So it looks like Dan Rufus must have lost a little bit of time on their lap. My apologies for not skipping around as much as I usually do, as we are trying to figure out the whole... whatever it is that is exactly happening with the broadcast package is not quite agreeing with us for today. So we'll try to get that PIP up in due time. We're on board with DZ right now. And if you're right, that looks very much different from last week. I wonder if I got a little bit of an updated livery. Always nice to see some of those customs. We've got a lot of talented graphics designers in the community. A little bit self-serving. But this is a nice improvement. About 1.1 seconds up on a 133.5, which should move them up just roughly into the top 5, and there they go, P4.
You want to try the PIP one more time? Maybe this one, fingers crossed, will work.
We're going to do this one more again, and see how things go as we go on board with Mike Cowley here through turn 11. Third time's the charm. Bring it up. Hey, there we go. PIP success. Well done. We did it live. Amazing scenes.
We're back in action.
Phenomenal scenes here on the Division 5 broadcast. We don't get to say that very often, so I'm quite chuffed. Oh boy. And PIP gets a nice little look at somebody going well wide on exit. I believe that was exit turn 1. And of course, you do want to try to maximize track as much as you can. Take a little bit of a Spanish adventure. But not necessarily in that capacity. So here's Mike Eriquez coming across the line now as the silver drivers are just about to get onto their final flying laps here. So if you're crossing the line just about now, you might get another one in. Speaking of, Eric Rudderin through turn 12. He'll have one more flying lap after this one, but he's got a little bit of an improvement bagged already. The pole time still sits at 132 flat. The track has moved over to optimum, so I'm expecting to see those times continue to tumble. If you can get one more flyer, and I suspect we'll have a couple of very, very good improvements for many of these drivers.
Yeah, we're looking at improvements for Dan Rufus, probably the biggest mover on track right now. He's coming around the final turn. Dan Rufus in your picture-in-picture. Where is this going to put Dan?
He's up 2 tenths, nearly 3 tenths.
Keep an eye on that one. I just saw Jerome Mai was up 6 tenths on their lap time, but invalidated on the exit of turn 14, so they're going to have to go again. I'm staying on board with Mike Eriquez for now, about 3 tenths up on their time, but Dan Rufus is looking very, very much in the green. So he makes his way through. We'll actually hop on board with that one as well. on the main screen. That's a lot of the sausage curve on the inside, trying to carry as much speed as he possibly can through turn 13, the long sweeper, braking just after the curve starts here on the right-hand side, and Dan Rufus, nice little apex, maybe not carry as much speed as he would have liked. That's going to be a little bit of time lost, does gain on the exit. That's certainly not going to be the big improvement he was looking for. He might have one more flyer, though, as he crossed the line just before time. Erica is behind. He's not going to join that group. Is he going to get across the line? Does that count?
That counts.
I think he's going to have another flying lap.
I think it does, yeah.
So we'll see what goes on there.
Improvements from Tyler McCullough. The number 405. He's got a few tenths in his pocket.
Oh, got on with Mert Mertz in the background as well. If you stay on Tyler McCullough as he goes across the line, Mert Mertz about a half-second up on their time. That would be a reasonably good improvement. Wouldn't move them up a terribly large number of places, but with the gold drivers yet to go out, you'll take any time that you can possibly get. As McCullough across the line in P2. Solid finish for Tyler McCullough, a 132.1. Here's Mert Mertz up to the line, about 4/10 up on their time, all things told. And they will move up, I think, a couple of positions here. Only one, actually, just behind Jan Roderick's. Still, P15, not terrible. Mert Mertz has had a bit of trouble getting a hold of the car. But before the gold drivers start setting down their laps, Ian Demler on provisional pole, about a 10th up on the next driver down. Not bad.
Yes, with silver, Demler, McCullough, Cowley, Music, DZ, Kovac, Spiker. A little bit of a disappointment from James Spiker. Again, he was really, really fast earlier on in the season, leading the Silver Championship. So a shakeup coming potentially here, at least to start the qualifying order.
Dan Rufus not getting exactly what he was looking for, surely. Down in P10. Hoping for a return to form on some of that pace. Did not quite find it, and we're on board with the 154. This is Regele Vitia, will be leading out the golds for Sky Tempesta Racing.
He was coming on strong at Indy late in the race. I think he got promoted up another extra spot or two. I think he finished the race at Indianapolis in 4th position after the penalties sorted themselves out. But coming on strong throughout the season, the driver from Montreal, Vite, what has he got for his first flyer?
Did we ever establish Vite or Vitia?
I'm just going to go with Vite.
Yeah.
Looked like a good apex. I believe that was turn 8. Sector 2, very, very complicated, very technical. And as we mentioned before, you know, it's difficult to spot your braking points during a race, but even for qualifying, nailing it down to the meter can be very challenging. Just on the merit of, if, for instance, the turn 2 braking zone, very much dependent on how well your exit from turn 1 is. Sometimes you can brake as late as the white line on the right-hand side of the curb. Sometimes that'll be way, way too late if you just nail it on turn 1. So it remains to be seen. Track has shifted over to Optimum, and wow, that's a P3 start. Only a 10th off the pole time here for Vite. That's going to be hard to beat.
And
Austin immediately up to the top of the pile.
Wow, I was watching his lap in the Rexy Lambo, and wow, he's on a flyer. But then again, the track just switched to Optimum, so after the silvers went out, the track is now rubbered in. So now the gold drivers will have more of a margin for those extra 10th for all that
this is big for Austin Red, currently 2nd in the championship, right? So if he can get a pole position and separate himself from Grush, who, looking through the
I don't
order,
believe he's on track today.
Now he's here. I got him in the picture-in-picture.
Oh,
but yeah, not hasn't put a valid lap in yet, so he's got to hurry up.
it's true. David Herrera, I'll take now. one to keep an eye on, but it is Austin Red. Worth noting, I mentioned the top time for Division 5 on the hot lap leaderboard for this season was at 131.2, and guess who? It was Austin Red, who I believe was roughly a tenth or two ahead of P2 on the Division 5 leaderboard. So a very solid pace in the Lamborghini. Really no surprises in that light that he goes to the top of the timing table, and he continues to improve. He's almost 4 tenths up on his delta right now. Herrera goes across the line in 7th. That's a solid start to their qualifying. Donovan Colton, I'll try to get on board with, onto the main straight right now. Roughly 8 tenths up on a 132.9, so this is going to be a very good qualifying lap for them, up into 5th. And the times continue to tumble.
Just improving there was Josh Grush. So Red leads currently. His lap is no good, so this is not going to be an improvement. Josh Grush, a slight improvement, but the difference between them, there's 5 drivers between them. That's a couple rows. This is big for Austin Red.
Oh, we just watched Stefan Buckley take a lot of the exit curve at turn 12 and a lot of that inside sausage. They're improving on their time, but that's going to be a big hit for it. At the very least, they've got, they know exactly where it is that they need to improve. Craig Marr, I just watched them go across the line. They're already about 3.5 tenths up on their time through turns 1 and 2. So I think I might stick on board this lap. That was a good improvement for Buckley as well. Into 12th, roughly like 8 to 10 positions gained if I'm just eyeballing that from my race control. So a nice lap from them.
A little surprised with Donovan Colton. He's showing a lot of pace on the leaderboards coming into this race. His best 32.135. That's 6 tenths shy of Austin Red. So I think there's more time for Donovan Colton. It's not going to be this lap, though. This lap is, this one's been invalidated at some point. But still more time for Colton.
You're on with Grush right now as he goes across the line, or you were just a moment ago. He improves 2 tenths up into 2nd place. That's still almost 5 tenths off of the pole time right now for Austin Red. We are running low on time in general here in the qualifying, so he needs to find some more pace if he wants to catch Austin Red. I think the biggest question, though, is if Austin Red is this good in qualifying, does he have the race pace to back it up? This is Craig Marr we're watching over the line. We've been on board with him for the last lap here, and he conferred that T1, T2 improvement all the way to the line, up to 7th place. Very good lap for Craig Marr.
I think the lead here has got to be Austin Red. That's 4-tenth gap between himself in first on pole versus his rival Josh Grush with a 32.0. So it's a 31.5 versus a 32.0. That's a considerable gap, 0.44 seconds between the two. They locked out the front row in the practice race on Monday. Looks like they're going to do that again here tonight in the real race.
I'm on board with Tyler Thompson right now. See if you can snag Brett Vaughn, who looks like they're a little shy of a second improving on their lap as they follow Tyler Thompson right now through Sector 2. So this is going to be a good lap for these two gold drivers. Brett Vaughn, who has always really been in the midfield so far for Division 5, but certainly hasn't been out of the conversation, has been more than part of a couple of stories so far in this season. So a driver who I'd be very glad to see move up the field a little bit, find some improvements. Tyler Thompson through T14. That is well deep, though. Tyler Thompson's going to lose a heck of a lot of time there. And that was all the advantage they got gone in an instant. They've got what looks to be 2 more qualifying laps on the table as they cross the line here to try to correct that mistake. And Thomas Greer also 4 tenths up, and I didn't see where Vaughn ended up. Oh, he invalidated his lap.
No, he crashed.
No.
He crashed. He was set for P2. That was going to be a front row start from Brett Vaughn, and he put that Porsche into a wall.
He put it into a wall, but he didn't come in to repair the damage. I think he might not have had enough time to go back out if he did come in. So now Tyler Thompson and Brett Vaughn both have a lot of pressure on their shoulders. Josh Grush is improving by a little bit. It looks like Austin Red is also a little bit in the green, but this is the story I want to keep track of right now, the 387.
Picture-in-picture is going to be on Donovan Colton in the 272, Aston Martin. He is up by nearly a quarter of a second. He's got to get onto that second row. If he can't get in the first row, it's got to be the second row. He has race pace. Donovan Colton in your picture-in-picture.
I have to wonder how strong the Aston is going to be on this track. I haven't seen too much of what the hot lap leaderboards have in terms of which car is the strongest. I know that the McLaren is strong, I know the Porsche is strong, but as far as some of the more lethargic front engine vehicles, the M4, I know people have been able to extract time out of it, but that's mostly the aliens, so I can't help but wonder how those cars with all that weight in the front are going to fare. I see Tyler Thompson's delta just shot up from about half a second improvement to 3 seconds down, or 3/10ths down. So he's going to end his qualifying in a relatively rough spot in relation to where we might expect it. Brett Vaughn just about to come across the line through turn 14 on your main screen right now, about 3/10ths up, and that's going to be quite a few places. If they can get a little bit of a better exit, they might get one more, but it looks like it's only going to be up into 15th, just past Spiker and Thompson. And I mean, speaking on that note, I mean, Thompson, on their last lap here for qualifying, Josh Grush is actually up 3/10ths as well, trying to fight for that pole position. If they can find 2 more tenths, they could beat out the pole time for Austin Red, but he's also on a lap.
Colton did put that car on the front row. He's got a 31.8. The gap. Josh Grush has got to find 2/10ths here on this last try. That's the only shot he's got. He's got to get this car in the front row. It's Red, Colton locking up the front row. Josh Grush, he is up. It's just a small improvement, though.
Oh, it's invalid. He invalidated his lap. I can see on race control,
No.
which leaves Herrera and Thompson out right now. We know that Thompson has time to improve. Herrera is also up by about 3/10ths. They're a little bit behind. These are the last 2 drivers out on track. Thompson's delta goes into the red now, though, and it doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement. This will be a terrible qualifying for Corsa Spazzatura, who's had very solid performance so far this season. The Ferrari is definitely putting its name in the hat for one of the stronger cars in general across all the tracks, but it looks like it's going to be a very minor improvement, if any. So now it's up to David Herrera, who's almost a half second up on his time. This could be good enough for P2 if he nails the last corner here, gets on the power and loses a little bit. I think he was wide on the apex, and now it's going to drop a little bit, and he won't quite have the front row, just behind Donovan Colton.
Oh, wow.
Close stuff.
Austin Red takes your go setups. Pole position here at Valencia. Next to him is Donovan Colton, Herrera, and then the championship fight is on. Austin Red in first. Josh Grush is going to be behind him on the second row.
It's a huge, huge pole position for Austin Red. Donovan Colton up there as well. We talked about this driver. You know, strong pace, you know, reasonably good racecraft. We've seen him as a part of a lot of the battles so far this season. But this, oh my goodness, this is a perfect top 4. I mean, with Tyler McCullough right behind them in 6 as well. Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Tyler McCullough has gotten in more than a couple of incidents, so I'm looking to him to make a bit of a surprise out of this race for us and have a very, very solid placement. Ian Demler as well in 5th. Vita in 7th, Craig Marr in 8th. And this is a top 10 for qualifying that we wouldn't really expect based on the results so far this season.
Yeah, Donovan Colton, big improvements from him. He qualified 4th, or finished the race at Paul Ricard in 4th. He's shown pace, and it's been improving and improving. His average qualifying position so far this season is 8th. Big improvement from him in 4th. I'm interested to see what he's got in this race. Can he hang on to Austin Red, though? That was a very, very fast lap from him.
He's looking to be very dominant so far, but we shall see what happens in this race. And I'm just very excited to see this race tonight. I mean, Valencia is definitely growing on me for sure after doing practice laps in it, but it's a good track. I'm very excited what these drivers have for us tonight.
Well, Austin Red, your pole sitter, brought to you by Go Setups, premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level.
Ooh, just now seeing a little bit here in the chat, but we're about ready to get on to the formation lap here. I want some predictions. I got to work on something real fast on the back end. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about what you're expecting during this race?
Selena, you can take the lead there if you want to go first.
All I can think of is I'm just hoping for a clean race after pretty much so far for the season with Division 5, but aside from that, I'm thinking Austin Red is going to shine on this race because his times are looking like really crazy. But then we have Donovan Colton just really improving, so I feel like it's going to be a very close fight for this one.
Yeah, Austin Red, 2 podiums so far this season. He got a 3rd at Snetterton and a 3rd at Indy. Never got that race win. This is his 2nd season in SRA. He's got the 2nd highest average qualifying position coming into Valencia. So clearly a driver with pace, but I don't think that matters to him. He wants a race win, and he's very, very close. He's currently 2nd in this championship. He's going to be looking at Josh Grush. That's a driver I'm going to be watching out for. He's your championship leader. Josh Grush is starting the race in 4th position. Heartbreak for him last week at Indy. Leading the race. Remember, folks, 2 minutes to go and made contact with the back marker, race over, and handed it to Ren Aoki. So does Josh Grush, does he get redemption here tonight at Valencia? Another fantastic performance from him in qualifying. Another driver, again, who desperately wants their first race win.
Yeah. Critical to note as well, we didn't actually see Thomas Maw ease in the race server, but another pit lane start for them. So we'll see how things fare for Thomas Maw. Raf Cab in the 906 did have a couple of issues in the last week's race. Another driver who has something to prove. Dan Rufus only managed to finish in 21st after qualifying, so hopefully it's a bit of an inverse story for that driver in the Bitch Peas Porsche down there. Mike Cowley in P9. I'm going to be keeping an eye on them as well. But for me, I think the real big one is the standout opportunity for teams to gain a little bit of ground back in the team standings, with James Spiker and Tyler Thompson being right next to each other in P16 and 17. I can't help but think that they're probably going to be going for an early pit, try to get some clean air, and see if they can't lap a little bit faster than I know they could in qualifying, because it seems like an uncharacteristically weak performance from them to finish this far down the field at the very beginning here.
Well, lining up 2x2, Austin Red in the 728 for T-Rex. 2nd in the team championship. He's your pole sitter next to Donovan Colton. Herrera stole away 3rd on his on the 2nd row. Josh Grush currently in 4th. Demler, McCullough, Vitae, Marr, Cowley, Music, Buckley.
Lights prepare to go green. On the main straight here, it's Austin Red. He looks so far ahead than the rest of the field. It's going to be an impossible jump. Donovan Colton's going to see what they can do. They got that turbo leg.
Oh no! The leader! The race leader already with the drive-through. Herrera, drive-through. Ian Demler, drive-through. Oh, that must be very heartbreaking. Oh.
Impossible. I can't believe it.
Wow. Oh, there's no way.
And already,
wow,
there's loads of motion, but I see no yellow oh no, right as I said it, Kevin Undas pushed off a little bit. Raf Cab has gone with them. Lots of drivers going off into the gravel.
No.
I can't even catch it. Brett Vaughn just fell so far down the order. That's going to be a terrible start for them. But with all these drive-throughs now, there's no telling. Everything is up for grabs near the front of the field. And we're not even in the better part of Sector 2 yet. And already, it's utter havoc here on Valencia. It looks like everybody got through reasonably safely. And of course, I say that with a bit of a grain of salt. But with the pit window being open now, I wonder if we're going to see a variety of strategy and drive-throughs come to bear for some blue flags to potentially cause some havoc. This is Rigele Vita on the inside of Ian Demler, or just outside of Ian Demler, I should say. Ren Aoki's got a yellow flag there in an awkward spot to try to rejoin here near the apex of turn 11. They will get back on track. But this has already been a big story, and we haven't even started.
Yeah, drive-through penalties assessed at the start. You called it. Red clearly lined up way too far to start that race. I think Herrera the same thing, Demler the same thing. That's odd that it happened to 3 drivers, though, rather than just 1.
Yeah, I'm a little bit I mean, I could see Austin Red maybe just from what we saw, but for the rest of, you know, some of the other drivers, it seemed a little bit out of sorts. So I don't know what exactly is going on there, but I'm sure for anybody further down the order, they're going to be happy to see that.
Yeah.
Well,
Austin Red being one of the quickest drivers. I mean, there could be a story from him, maybe a comeback story from him. Like, but we'll see what happens after he serves his drive-through penalty.
Well, I think the story here is Donovan Colton, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's a
I
2-second
believe
gap
that.
from Donovan Colton to Josh Grush. So this is going to shoot red way down the order. This is
Oh,
now
yeah.
a fight for Donovan Colton versus Josh Grush.
Still in the opening stages of this race, though, there's lots of potential movement to be made. Gap from JP May to the car ahead. That's Eriquez in front, the 940. Oh no, I see Donovan Colton's got a bit of a yellow. He's back on track at the very least, so that gap is going to increase a little bit. But there's still many, many drivers close in formation. Like I said, it can be quite challenging to spot your braking points down to a T if you're behind cars. And ooh, Kevin Unda's got a little bit of a wiggle in front of Raf Cab here. They're going to do their best to not get into a bit of a scrap like they did before. And oh no, Raf Cab comes across the nose of the Aston behind, and they've gone round on the entrance to turn 14. That was Eric Rudderim behind. I think that Raf Cab just didn't quite know where exactly that car behind was, and they're going to have to recover now from a much lower position down the order.
Picture in picture, that's Raf Cab. He kind of cuts off that Aston Martin. He had to take an evasive action. I think that was Unda in front of him. But as he was getting back onto the racing line, made contact. That's on Raf Cab, actually.
I think I have to agree with you there. That's an unfortunate way to start things. Nathan Schaefer was just having a sniff up the inside of Brett Vaughn only a moment ago, trying to get some moves done. We'd love to see a little bit of action here on the clean side. This is Kevin Unda behind Thomas Greer. Gap just about 0.3 of a second. This looks like a decent run here for Unda, but we know Greer is a very defensive driver. He does not like getting past if he has anything to say about it. Into the braking zone. This is turn 8. Coming up now. Very complex set of corners here. Like I said, the front engine cars rather lethargic around some areas of this track in comparison to some of the more nimble vehicles. And oh, that's a bit too much curve on the inside, and Unda is going to lose that potential attack.
We missed it, but Donovan Colton got around Josh Grush. I believe it must have been a mistake from Josh Grush. He's still yet to serve that drive-through penalty. So your leader outright is Donovan Colton.
Well, Thomas Greer might have gotten a little bit too much of turn 12. Kevin Unda's just getting up past him on the main straight, and that looks like a relatively cut-and-dry maneuver.
Oh.
What have you seen, Selena?
Oh, I was just seeing Josh Grush going a little wide there at T1. Probably a track limit warning, but could be.
I'm going to be honest. Based on what we've seen so far on the main screen, it seems like T1 track limits are more of a suggestion this race than actual track limits. So we'll see how things evolve with that.
You can go pretty wide there. So it's going to look on stream for folks not familiar with Valencia. You can actually go pretty wide there, even past the red and white checkered curb. As long as you stay on the green, I believe, off of the red, you should be in the clear.
See,
I was actually genuinely surprised that you can go significantly wide there. But from the angle, it looked like that one car just going really wide. Guess it was the angle. Probably.
Lots of smaller trains beginning to form up here. This right now is a battle with Thomas Mills in front of Raf Cab and Austin Red. In Austin Red, he's going to be very dissatisfied with his position, so watch for that driver to try to make a lot of moves up the field. David Herrera is going to be in a similar position, but he's got a little bit of clean air in front of him. But there's almost less than 1 second gap all the way down from P13 to roughly P21, save for Connor Farrell, who's lost Eric Rotherham's diffuser by a little bit. But this has been an interesting race so far. Tyler McCullough has the purple lap right now with a 1:32.5. Very solid race pace indeed. And this is Raf Cab up against Thomas Mills with Austin Red immediately hounding them behind. This might just be an attempt at a move in towards turn 1. It's a little bit distant. We're going on to a bit of a different story as well. James Spiker and Tyler Thompson did both take their pit pretty much immediately as soon as the window opened. You can see Austin Red trying to play it a little bit safe there. Well, but maybe not here. 906 ahead. Respects that. You know, I do respect it. You know, you don't want to go too hard, especially this early in the race.
Yeah, suddenly, what's going through the mind of Austin Red? fastest driver on track, and now he's going to make his way through traffic. It's going to be a tough, long 52 minutes for him.
That's for sure.
Oh, this gap.
He's definitely on a mission, though. Now overtaking Rav Cab, followed by Mills. Just slotting behind just between the two of them. Gets the inside, but not quite.
Looks like the fall into order here. As I mentioned, I'm gonna move up the field. Oh, Connor Farrell just had a bit of an off here. I was just about to go on to the front of this fight. You can see how many cars are here. I'm gonna take the wing cam for Rene Oki. You can see how many vehicles are up behind this train. These are all for position. There's no blue flags in that, as far as I can tell. And things are just going absolutely wild here. I'm sure there's no pressure for Rene Oki at all in that regard.
Taking it with a grain of salt.
Austin Red he hasn't made his mandatory pit stop yet, though. That's the key in all of this. Neither has David Herrera, so they're down in the order here. But if they don't get clean air soon, they might just try to pit out early. David Herrera, we saw him go for a couple of aggressive moves earlier this season. Oh, the 906 on the outside.
And speaking of that, oh, it could have been a lot. Oh, little tap from Ian Demler and I believe Raf Cab it was. In the blue and gray 296.
That's tough.
Herrera's going to be your PIP. He's going to make that move on Raf Cab. That's a hard move to make. I think you don't mind that one.
I think Raf Cab may just not have been aware of that move coming in. It may have turned in a little bit too aggressive. There's just been contact. That's Mike Eriquez. Oh no, Brett Vaughn takes a hit too, and they're off. That's exit turn 8, I believe. They were both trying to go for a move there. See if you can get that one back, because I believe they were trying to make an overtake, and there was just probably a little bit of contact. I'm going to go on board with DZ as they make an overtake into turn 14. That's Mike Kelly they're getting ahead of. But there still might be a little bit of a fight for that one down the main straight.
Austin Red getting that move done on Mills, going a little too wide. Out of, I believe it's turn 11. Now in P22. Oh, that train on the home straight.
Staying on board with this, DZ and Mike Kelly continue to go at it. Mike Kelly made the return move into turn 2. See David Herrera, Raf Cab is still kind of in this train. And will Herrera go for it again? He's looking up the inside. The 906 sees him, and the 906, again, contact is made there. As Herrera tried to go for the move up the inside. I'm not sure about that one from Raf Cab. It looked like they were trying to close the door a little bit too late to my eyes, but we'll leave that one to the stewards. The pass is made one way or another, but still damage for Herrera on that front right quarter panel, that's for sure.
That one I don't like as much. That was picture in picture, just had it. I think Red was going clearly defensive. I mean,
Cab.
Who was that? Herrera. Cab, thank you. Cab clearly going defensive. And Herrera squeezed the car in there. Just Cab, just let him go. He's faster than you, and he's by a considerable margin. It's almost a half-second difference in pace between the two. Let him go. Let him go.
It does seem like it would be some wise advice. Dan Rufus was close up behind Rodriguez just a moment ago. I'm on board with Red. In towards the braking zone of turn 14. The 8-3 has to leave some space on the outside. That's Connor Farrell being passed by Austin Red, but not quite. It actually sticks it back up. And Austin Red has still got some work to do in this one, but it looks like, oh my goodness, the exit was so much better here for Austin Red. And the McLaren's going to have to fall behind. Still has to make their mandatory pit. Does Austin Red, but having some clean air in front would surely come as a bit of a boon for their race.
Austin Red, the second fastest driver on track as far as last laps are concerned. The fastest is Buckley for Castle and Cauldron Esports in his Nissan GTR. He's got a 132.2 for his fastest lap. That's a full tank of gas in that car too.
Oof. Crazy.
Saw David Herrera making another pass there on the main screen only a moment ago. It looks like the gaps are starting to pan out a little bit. So Donovan Colton 1.7 seconds ahead of Josh Grush in second. Tyler McCullough with a very solid position so far, 2 seconds behind that P2 driver. Dan Rufus might be kind of snaking up the inside, just trying to make the car ahead think about them in towards turn 12. That was very well held though from Roderick's ahead. Roderick's also a driver that we haven't really seen too much near the top of the order. Kevin Unda's actually might going to try it on the outside here of Dan Rufus, maybe for a bit of a switchback onto the main straight. That Aston's going to have a lot more power than the Porsche in a straight line, and it looks like it might be a battle in towards the braking zone of turn 1. As Aston comes alongside now of Dan Rufus. This is for P11 right now. Race control gives it to Kevin Unda, and the inside line is easily there as the 129, though washing out a little bit wide, maybe a little bit of wheel spin for Rufus, and that'll widen up the gap.
Good move by Unda. He likes those turn 1 moves. He made a good move last week at Indy, also in turn 1 coming down the straight. I don't exactly remember who he lined up, but that's someone who's able to manage his nerves, especially in D5 when it's difficult to do, right? A lot of contact get made in this division, and not from him.
I just saw Herrera got past. I believe it was Farrell, who I'm on board with now. He got in the main straight. So another move for David Herrera, who's having a much better race, I would argue, save for the drive-through penalty, than he did last time. He didn't really have a whole lot of success with the overtakes at Indianapolis.
Just check on your leaders. Donovan Colton does lead this race by 1.2 seconds over Josh Grush. Tyler McCullough, your leading silver driver. And then Vitae in the 154. Steven Music, clearly his best finish so far, or best position so far this season. He's in 5th, and your fastest driver right now with the purple lap of 32.7 is Stefan Buckley.
Just seen DZ and Mike Cowley going at it again. It was a turn 14 overtake, and Cowley is back up the inside here of the opposing Ferrari. Oh no!
Contact with Austin Red, and I didn't quite catch what Ferrari that was. I think that was
Austin
PIP.
Schaefer.
Oh,
Check
no.
your PIP for Austin Red. Check your PIP.
We gotta see this.
The
Brett Vaughn in
former
front of him.
race leader.
Oh, that was a mega sense.
Way
Oh,
hot.
He came in way too hot on that one.
I saw Jerome Mai had a yellow flag as well. Looked like they were off, but Austin, I think they were trying to go for the move on Brett Vaughn and maybe got a little bit more caught up in that than they wanted to. Matthew Eriquez went around there. That's exit turn 4, looks to be. They do manage to get out of the way of oncoming traffic, though. They're going to lose some spots. David Herrera gets past, Brett Vaughn gets past Demler, Fisher, and JP May as well. So he's back in on the track. Speaking of Herrera, up right behind. I'm looking at the gap right now. Josh Grush is actually closed up on Donovan Colton. David Herrera takes a little bit of the gravel on the inside there of turn 8. By the looks of things, but keeps it together. Josh Grush has closed up to the back of Donovan Colton. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. It is Steven Music and Stefan Buckley as traffic is coming out in front now. Pitter just immediately in front of this train, but things are starting to heat up here in the top 5 or so.
Yeah, a mistake must have been made from Donovan Colton because that last lap was 4/10 slower than Josh Grush. So that gap's come down, but Colton seemed to have settled down and he's added it back. Now, it was less than a second. Now it's back to 1.4.
4 cars all right up next to each other. David Herrera, watch the inside of Brett Vaughn. He's thinking about that move. David Herrera is going to try to send it on the 387. Spaces afforded on the inside. He can't quite make it stick, but in towards turn 3. The Porsche can't really keep it together. Actually, Brett Vaughn, just an outstanding effort to try to keep this Ferrari behind, and they're still going at it now, in towards turn 5 even, and potentially turn 6. The Ferrari just needs to get a little bit of better traction, try to have the racing line for this one, but it's just right and then left and right and left, and the 387 is battling this one out with David Herrera. This is some excellent racecraft right now from these two drivers.
Nice, beautiful racing from those two. Vaughn taking the advantage of the inside line and making it stick for P20.
Yeah, P20. This is what it looks like down there.
Yeah. Crazy down in the midfield.
This is still a train, by the way. JP May is leading this. Those are all, you can see them right in the back. That's Brett Vaughn and David Herrera, who we were just watching, behind Stephanie Fisher and Ian Demler, who then are behind JP May, who are on board with right now in towards the braking zone of turn 14. So a little bit of a train there in the midfield. Other gaps to watch out for, it's Stefan Buckley racing at VTA for P5 right now. The gap 0.7 seconds roughly. It's kind of stagnated there a little bit with a good lap for Stefan Buckley. I mean, he's got the purple lap of the race so far, 132.2, so the pace is clearly there. Craig Marr is just a little bit behind Steven Music. I've just missed this, haven't I?
Yeah, Vaughn going really wide at T1 and lost P9. I think the relative's gone glitchy for me because it said Vaughn was in P20 when he made that overtake on Herrera, but now he's in P19 unless somebody pitted. But he just lost a position to Herrera. Both really good drivers with Clean Racing, though.
I suspect they're going to have a friendly rivalry at the end of this if
oh yeah,
if they don't already have. I'm sure there are some unfriendly rivalries in Division 5, I'm almost certain of that, but we'll see how things develop with them. Ian Demler, the 310, so I'm going to hop on board with behind JP May. Another gap I'm keeping an eye on is Kevin Unda behind P10 Rodricks right now. And as we mentioned, you know, Rodricks, who's had a stellar outing in so far.
Yeah, we haven't seen Roderick since Snetterton, so he missed the last 2 races. He picked up a couple penalty points, I believe, at Snetterton. He may have to serve a penalty coming up soon. If not, maybe it was downgraded. But yeah, we haven't seen him in the last 2 weeks, so jury's still out on what he can bring to the table. Looking back, Roderick's, that was P16 and then P37 at Snetterton.
It's Thomas Greer on the inside of Rene Oki, the 43 Nissan GTR. Oh, that's a little bit of argy-bargy there. You can see the 43 having to take a little bit of evasive action as the Bentley kind of pushed a little bit out wide, and with Eric Rudderham right behind, this is going to get to be a little bit of a heated battle. Again, Thomas Greer, a driver who does not like to concede positions if he has anything to say about it. So we'll get on board with that before too long, but this is Ian Demler on the inside of JP May. That might have been a little bit of door banging there. The move is done, though. I don't know about that. Oh, it's going to be more positions lost, I think. I see a yellow in the background. I think Spiker just lost a little bit of time on their lap. They did survive, though. Who's going wide back?
Oh, Stephanie going a little wide there.
Yeah.
Who's in position 2, Brett Vaughn. Quite the little train going on, though, for P17 and P20.
Indeed.
Oh, JP May having a little moment.
Exit of turn 12 will do that to you.
Herrera. Oh, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, that dip of that curb can just really bite the car and can really unsettle it. And now Herrera just claims P18 from, or actually, what is going on with my relative? P17, actually.
Yes. We just saw Mills, actually RTGs after what looked like an incident, yeah, off the exit curve of turn 12 there. Oh no, Stefan Buckley, P6 right now, yellow flag on the exit of, I believe, that's turn 6. An odd spot to go off. Thomas Greer's also had a yellow. He spun around just a couple of corners before.
Picture should have Buckley. This is Buckley and Vitae.
What's going on here? Oh no. Did I miss something? That looks completely uncharacteristic. What happened?
That looked like Buckley. The car got unsettled going over the exit curve there. I don't think he made contact with Vitae.
That is mightily confusing for me. That doesn't seem like an exit curve that I would ever think can do something like, unless he's running very, very low TC, very, very low wing. I don't know. That perplexes me to really no end. But what's happened has happened. Stefan Buckley was having an amazing race up to that point. He dropped 8 positions. 12?
Oh.
Yeah, 8 positions, math. Math is hard.
This was going to be his best race too. I mean, his best race was Kyalami, finished 10th. That was a battle for 5th he was in.
Ooh, and that's so unfortunate as well for Ian Demler. With Herrera coming up the inside, they came across the back of Buckley, in the line that Buckley was taking was on the outside, and Demler had to lift off of that battle and allow Herrera through. That was wonderfully capitalized upon by the 313. I mean, Herrera, we talked a little bit about how he didn't have the cleanest race at Indianapolis, but by God, he's been going for some solid high percentage moves so far, and the racecraft has certainly improved since last week.
Nobody's lost more positions this season, and it's not even close. Austin Herrera has lost a total of 63 positions from where he started to where he's finished. So, you know, someone who's just continually very fast, right? That's
moment
Vaughn
for Brett
going off.
Vaughn.
Yeah, Vaughn going off. But back to Red, someone who's very fast at qualifying, right? Not Red, Herrera.
Yeah.
But the race definitely needs some improvements. And what, today drive-through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Holton, just quick note on your leader, is cruising. He's 8 tenths faster on the last lap than Josh Grush in second. That gap was 1 second. It's now growing 4.5 seconds. Colton to Grush.
Jeez.
Oh.
Kovac and Rathcab. Sorry to interrupt. They're just kind of closing up on the back of the cars in front. So I just want to give a mention to them. Rathcab, who has not necessarily had the race of their season so far.
Oh, it just got worse.
Oh.
But they got some time to recover at the very least. So that's good. That's some good sportsmanship. Certainly going to be a downgrade on any potential penalty that they might see, but not the result that they wanted from that attempt.
He's 4th in the Silver Championship too, is Rathcab. So these are important positions, right? This is an important time for him. Mistakes like that are killer. That's a mental one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just about the closest gap that we have on the track so far. A couple of other notable ones, of course, we were just on board with Rathcab. Oh, Kovac, nice little save there. Exit turn 2. Not what you would have wanted. That allows a little bit of breathing room for Eriquez in front. That's Matthew of the two Eriquez. Stephanie Fisher had a little bit of a moment. Turn 8, I believe it was earlier on. Got overtaken by a couple of cars, but is up in P17 right now. Of course, he has yet to pit. And I mean, talking a little bit more about the story that we haven't really been following, it's Tyler Thompson and James Spiker, currently the leaders of those who have pitted so far, and the gap to the leader of the race at the moment, Donovan Colton, 53 seconds from Tyler Thompson, with James Spiker only 2.3 seconds behind them. So perhaps for Corsa Spazzatura, as I mentioned before, their likely strategy, you know, pit early. They probably didn't get the qualifying that they want. See if they can improve with their race pace and try to make moves that way. And it seems like so far things have gone relatively well for them, but there's cars all over the track. There's no telling how much time that they've lost for potential blue flags. Rathcab, nice exit here of T14. Gonna be up against Thomas Greer with a clean potential move. This time with the Bentley. Oh my God! It's pulling in the straights even with the better exit. The 906 just can't do anything against this car. What in the world? He did like everything right there. Oh, but Thomas Greer, a bit of a moment. In towards turn 1, and now gap on the inside for the 906. He wants that line, but space is afforded. Thomas Greer playing it safe. Historically, not a very careful driver when it comes to defending his position, but he lets him by.
Picture-in-picture is riding on the bumper cam of Greer, and that's Rathcab just in front of him.
Brett Vaughn and Stephanie Fisher having a bit of a battle here. Turn 8, that is. I'm seeing Mike Cowley is leading DZ by only 0.3 of a second, with Rodriguez right behind blue flag traffic, letting Rodriguez through on the inside of turn 14. Now this is Ferrari on Ferrari action. The 296 of Cowley ahead of DZ, and Cowley, who has had so far a rather clean and good race in terms of pace. The slipstream's not quite strong enough to go for the move into T1. The 296 has a bit of a compromised line, but they will stay ahead So DZ is going to have to live to fight another day. We're about halfway through the race. Bit of a missed apex there, though, from Mike Cowley. The pressure is being put on. Brett Vaughn has just gotten past Stephanie Fisher in the back. I don't know if you want to get that one. Oh, well, looks like Stephanie just pulled into the pits, so I think I know what the story is.
Yeah. Yep, she just pitted. Pop that a little bit.
Tyler Thompson moves up 2 more positions as Thomas Greer also into the pits. This is Mertzen up against Kovac. Not racing for position necessarily. Mertzen still has yet to make their pit stop. But it's a relatively clean race so far for Mertzen. Driver who has been struggling to keep the car under control in some races. I mean, the Porsche, very, very challenging car to get to grips with, especially down here in D5. Still more developmental division for a lot of drivers. But he's been putting his best effort forward, and certainly since Kyle Lamy, we've seen improvements out of Mertzen.
Yeah, for sure. Each week, I mean, throw Indy aside, but 31st, 25th, 8th, right? So someone who's definitely coming to grips with the season and D5 as a whole. I think there's still improvements to be made, but he's in the mix for the Silver Championship. I'll check on him in a moment.
This is David Herrera for a move on Eric Rudderham on the main straight. Should be relatively cut and dry. We saw Stephanie Fisher around just a couple of moments ago. It looks like Matthew Eriquez also had a yellow flag and is going to drop a couple of more positions. That's Kovac and Mertzen getting through. Spiker actually getting past Thompson. A little bit of teammate on teammate action. I wasn't really expecting some positional changes. I'm assuming that they are in communications with each other in the OBDA server. But as long as nothing bad came of it, I suppose you can't necessarily be angry about it. Looking at you, Mercedes.
Just keep an eye on Josh Grush in P2, Tyler McCullough. Gaps come down. 1.3 seconds from P2, Josh Grush to Tyler McCullough in P3. Something to watch.
Of course, you can see on the left side of your screen all the drivers who have yet to take their pit. Donovan Colton leading the race. Feels like a fairly comfortable one so far for Donovan Colton. All you got to do is keep it clean, no track cuts. Easier said than done. And see what goes on for you. I think Brett Vaughn just got past JP May. I missed that one. If you want to see if you can get it back, roughly 20 or so seconds, I believe, should do the job. Let's see what the action was there.
I'm going to miss that one.
My apologies to Brett Vaughn and JP May, although it looks like there's more action. JP May, the outside of turn 14. This Bentley should dominate the Porsche in a straight line, but the exit was a little bit poor for the OBDA car behind. Does look like Vaughn is going to have the advantage into turn 1. But if you can get a nice exit here, JP May might still have it. Oh, that looks like a bit of a wide moment, actually, for the both of them, but Brett Vaughn comes away the victor, so to speak, in that exchange. That's Rene Oki in front of David Herrera, who's just gone a little bit wide in the infield section. And now David Herrera going to take advantage. That's a nice pass in a place where you don't often see one.
Beautiful.
Austin Red getting past Kevin Unda further down the field. He's having a good recovery drive so far. Maybe getting held up a little bit by traffic. Certainly not as good as David Herrera. I see a drive-through penalty for Brett Vaughn as well on my screen. Must have been for track limits.
Yeah.
Brett Vaughn had an opportunity in qualifying too. He was very, very fast. It was looking like maybe a second or third row for him. This race has just gone, well, unraveled. We'll leave it at that.
Driver we haven't talked much about. This is Roger Rodriguez. I believe that's lap traffic behind. That's Stefan Buckley, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed it is. That is correct. Stefan Buckley currently running in P31 after that incident earlier and then taking their pit stop. So Roger Rodriguez up behind Matthew Eriquez here. And Roger Rodriguez, a driver who finished on the podium, ended up getting demoted to 5th place after a 10-second penalty, but had a relatively strong finish there. I see James Spiker also trying to go for a pass. This is turn 14 against Ralph Cab, a driver who hasn't been too keen to leave space on the inside so far this race. And it looks like they might just about keep this position. But do keep an eye on Rodriguez as this race develops. You see McCullough and Vitiaz closed up as well. Josh Grush had an invalid lap ahead, so that gap is closed up immediately. So we'll get on board immediately after Raf Cab lifts off quite a bit. James Spiker has to take some evasive action, but this right here, this is the battle for P2 with Grush in front, McCullough right behind, and Vitiaz following.
Yeah, Josh Grush seems to be struggling a little bit here. Of the 3 drivers on your screen, Grush, McCullough, and Vite, it's Grush the slowest of the 3, and it's not even close. Vite in the number 154, currently in P4, was 7/10 faster than Josh Grush.
Oh, and both teammates dipping into the pits. Grush and McCullough.
That's right.
I think Grush did have an invalid lap. We saw, well, we didn't see, Spiker got past Raf Cab, and now it's going to be up to Thompson to try to make that pass as well. But, I mean, for Josh Grush, that's honestly, I think, the right play call. You had a really, really bad lap. You had a couple of cars immediately on your tail. It's going to be a lot of pressure. I believe it was an invalid lap for Josh Grush, so most likely made some sort of a significant error. That's why the gap came down as much as it did. And so just dip out into the pits, give yourself some breathing room, try to focus on the race ahead. And I believe he's on his way now with a lot of clean air behind. So there's going to be no blue flags for Josh Grush as long as he can keep up the race pace.
It's important for Josh Grush too, right? He doesn't have to win this race. We told him big picture last weekend. Doesn't look like the win's going to happen here today either. Could be a third, second place set up for him here at Valencia. Yet to get his first race win, but big picture, he is leading this championship. Austin Red had to serve a drive-through early on. He's way down the order. Tyler Thompson, not really working out today, currently in 16th place. Rene Oki, same thing. I'm not sure exactly where he may be right now in the race. P10. So think big picture. If you're Josh Grush, this is big for the championship.
Tyler Thompson's still struggling to get past Raf Cab here. Their teammates already made the move, but it looks like they're having some trouble finding their line right up behind this Ferrari in front. Raf Cab has been putting on a reasonably strong show for us. I see that Colton and Music are both in the pits now. So out from the lead and now into the fiery crucible of the midsection of the track. We'll see how things develop for them. I wonder if Spiker right now is trying to hold up Raf Cab specifically to allow Thompson back, but Thompson doesn't seem to have the pace following the car in front right now.
Colton into the pits. Your leader.
Timing table sure getting shaken up right now. This is Red behind Unda. Well, Rene Oki's right behind Donovan Colton, who just came out of the pit lane. So that's one to watch. For Dan Rufus just out of yellow. Oh, that's a big contact right off the bonnet cam for Dan Rufus. Up in 8th place right now. They have got to make their mandatory pit stop, so if that's a lot of damage, they can at least fix it up and get back out there. That's surely going to be a little bit of a hit on their overall time. Oh, Raf Cab has yet to pit out. He's been holding up Thompson by the look of it, but they aren't necessarily racing each other for a position. It does look like the 55 and the 57, respectively. That's Corsa Spazzatura, the two teammates. 132.7 is their fastest lap for both of them, with a couple of extra decimal points behind that, but not necessarily terribly important. I've just seen Mertson moving up a position against Eric Rudderim, which I'm not necessarily sure what exactly happened there. This is DZ. I see. The gap to Mike Cowley in front continues to come down, but these racers have been going at it pretty much the entire time.
Mike Cowley currently 12th in the championship. This is important for him. DZ, he's coming in. He was promoted up from D6 just last week, and this is his second round, so he's not really the mix for the championship. Cowley definitely is, though.
Most drivers beginning to get their stops out of the way. Donovan Colton, the gap right now to the lead, 27 seconds. If I check the pit stop time. Oh no! Roger Rodriguez went a little bit deep there. It made contact with the car in front. They both got away from it. In towards T12. That's a dangerous space to make contact. But they get away just all right. But the total pit stop time, excuse me, getting a little bit overexcited with that action at turn 12. It looks like optimal is 35 seconds, so Donovan Colton should have this one pretty well in the bag, so long as no mistakes are made. That's good news for Thompson. And talking a little bit more about stories, I was just over on the statistics page, and I can't help but notice Dan Roof is up 13 positions so far, but they have yet to make their stop. I believe Rodrix is in the same boat. They have yet to make their stop, but they are up 20 positions in the race as of right now. Roger Rodriguez up 14, and they have made their stop. Nathan Schaefer also in that boat.
Nathan Schaefer, second in the Silver Championship. Just want to give a shout out to him. Currently sitting P20.
Provisional leader Donovan Colton on the main straight right now. Best lap of 132.2. Last lap 133.8. Just seeing Rudderim and Mertzen looks like they traded places. Ian Demler and Austin Red as well. I think I missed that one. It might have been a little bit of an error there from Red based on just getting on the tail end of that.
Yeah, I just caught that battle. Like, yeah, it looks like Red just made some sort of little error and just lost the position to Ian Demler.
Ian Demler, fastest lap of the race. He did a 31.9. That's a screaming lap, so you can see how he got around Austin Red.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a fast lap.
Oh.
Fastest lap of the race, Ian Demler. Our track racer, fastest lap of the race. Track racer, experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRA-TE at checkout to support us. Ian Demler, Track Racer, fastest lap of the race.
Oh, Ian Demler making the 1-2-9.
Looking to make a move.
Kevin Unda's got to think about him behind. And ooh, Unda making an early dive for that apex to try and keep the McLaren at bay here. Austin Red's immediately behind this. Was probably glad to see a little bit of a battle here. Oh! Oh, no! Oh no!
Oh no! Oh! Oh!
Picture in picture should have it.
Get the bonnet cam for Ian Demler if you can. I think he was trying to make a move of some variety and was just a little bit too late on. Oh, I don't think that was even a move. I think just trying to follow through and made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like turn 4, scene of the crime. That's gonna be the fault of Ian Demler. You got to be in control.
Well, Austin Red's probably chuffed to see that event unfold. See, Vita up behind Tyler Thompson.
Kevin Unda drive-through, so it just his race just went from bad to worse after that punt from behind. Oh no!
I can't believe I didn't see as well. Rodriguez is currently serving a drive-through penalty.
Yeah. 2 of them in the pits. It's one of the things about Valencia is the track limits. You got to be really careful, especially at turn 12 and the exit of turn 2. Quite unforgiving.
Cowley's in the pits.
I will say, though, this race has been better than last week at Indy. There's been incidents, no doubt, but it's definitely been a cleaner, more competitive race. We've seen some good moves.
Herrera definitely being one of them. And speaking of which, Stefan Buckley... Oh, wait. Excuse me. He's in P31, not for position. Thought they were battling it out for a second.
Oh, he was. He was in P5 at one point, right? Wrecked.
Yeah, that's right.
We saw Josh Grush and Tyler McCullough switch positions. Turn 14, it looked like after getting a poor exit on turn 12, Grush just kind of let their teammate through, which I'd have to say is probably a wise decision. I've just seen Raf Cab getting in front of Mike Cowley only a moment ago. That gap immediately improved quite a bit. DZ had a yellow flag, although it looks like he's doing just fine, so I'll just casually ignore that for now as I get on board. Ian Demler up behind JP May. Demler, who most likely has a bit of a penalty coming their way after putting Kevin Unda a little bit further down the order.
Picture in picture is riding aboard Steven Music. Ahead is Josh Grush, championship leader, and then Tyler McCullough. This is a battle for P6.
Looks like we got a McLaren battle and a Ferrari battle. Interesting. P7 right through. Looks like. Down my relative. P12, P9 through P12 with Ferraris, and P6 through P8 for McLaren, but Enriquez being the blue flag, P30. But still McLaren order.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of small gaps. Grush up right up behind McCullough with Music there. Cowley immediately up behind Raf Cab with Thompson immediately behind. Ian Demler, who has to check up for JP May in front just a little bit. Brett Vaughn, I'm on board with now with Roger Rodriguez in front. This looks like a good run for Brett Vaughn potentially, but there's just nothing in it. Over the left-hand kink, they're going to try around the outside of the 305. That's a bold move from Brett Vaughn. Thomas Greer is behind as well, trying to make a similar move happen at turn 8. But there's just not enough grip on the outside to get past Thomas Ma here, and he's going to have to fall behind. Austin Red in towards turn 14. And there's just so much going on here on track. This looks like the Ferrari might, or excuse me, the Lamborghini might have it. And I think Austin Red has just about gotten that move done against JP May, but he's definitely still there. You still have to think about him. Vita and Thompson are going at it too. We'll see if we can't get that one here in a second. Turn 1, the 728 stays ahead. Space is afforded. Mike Cowley, this is against Raf Cab. We have seen this driver make a couple of aggressive defensive moves. The 906 barely leaving space there, but does leave space indeed. So there's a lot of small gaps. I can't skip around and have all of these on my screen at the same time. Thomas Greer potentially looking at the outside.
Oh, Cali got a wide lose position to Raf Cab, who has still actually yet to pit. So that would be provisional P10 for him.
Oh, they're really trying for it.
Look at this racing here. This is such an improvement from last week.
Oh yeah, 100%. Great clean racing going here.
Picture in picture is going to be aboard Ma. In front is Greer, then Vaughn.
That's Greer, and I believe, checking my relative, that's actually Jan Rodrigues right in front of Greer.
You're right. Yeah, Rodrigues.
Yeah, Rodrigues is a lap ahead of these drivers. I'm gonna go now. Vita, this is an interesting scenario.
Look at that little battle going on right there. Wow. Squeezing right through. Raf Cab is still on a mission, despite...
He has to make his pit stop, yeah.
Yeah.
Raf Cab is looking an awful lot like Kevin Magnussen did at Saudi Arabia this last weekend, with just holding up a lot of very, very quick drivers behind, but not necessarily being in the race, so to speak. So I tell you, Rigele right now is probably very, very heated about the position they find themselves in at this present moment. They had an amazing first stint, but getting just a little bit behind this train has caused them to lose quite a bit of time. Their ultimate pace this race, a 132.7. Their last lap, a 134.4, which is stronger by a half second or more than all three cars immediately in front of them.
Yeah, Vitina just pushing a few moments ago. He was like right at the back end of Tyler Thompson, but he seemed to have pushed the car a little too much on those last few corners and seemed to have lost quite the gap to Thompson.
Quick note on Vitia, I believe he plays on a controller.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow. Controller buddies.
And he had the second fastest lap at Indy, behind race winner Aoki. So
wow.
He can find pace with his thumbs.
Oh yeah, it can be done. It really can be done. A lot of practice and just knowing what setup is right for you. And it can be done.
Oh, Herrera wants this position on the outside of turn 3. That's Stefan Buckley, I think. It is indeed Stefan Buckley immediately behind. Lapped right now by both of these drivers, but certainly not happy to be such. Tyler Thompson's finally closed up a little bit to the back of Raf Cab. This has been an ongoing battle through the whole shebang. It looks like David Herrera did just get past Aoki. Mertzen, oh, that's a yellow flag. And I thought there might have been contact there for a second, but it looks like they should have a relatively pedestrian time to rejoin. So that's an unfortunate incident for them. I've just seen Raf Cab passed by Tyler Thompson. At long last, Tyler Thompson is able to make that move and join teammate James Spiker in front of the 906. Will they hold on to it, though, is the big question.
And Vatier behind. Drive-through penalty.
No. Oh.
Oh, no.
My race control.
Killer.
Yeah. Oh.
He's coming up
He
for
just
4th
walked
place
that
at
battle.
Indianapolis. This is going to be a drop round for him, I think.
Yeah.
He's just going for it now. Just taking as much of the track as they possibly can at turn 1. I mean, you do got to be careful about potentially getting a DQ with too many more track limits warnings. But if you basically have, if you just got the drive-through, you might as well try to make the overtake as fast as possible, even if it costs you another track warning. There's only 11 minutes left of the race. We're getting down to the wire here. You might as well send it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, under yellow. That's a lot of turn 12. I can almost guarantee right now we're going to see a lot of exit turn 12 here for Kevin Unda.
Picture in picture on Unda.
Oh, and Steven Music has to run wide to avoid Unda as well. That's a lot of time lost.
Gravel. Yeah. 2 seconds down. Away from. Looks like Grush.
I don't know. Not much more to say about it, I suppose. Brett Vaughn's been forming up here to the back of Roger Rodriguez for quite some time, potentially looking towards the inside, but that left-hand kink is not forgiving when it comes to providing overtaking opportunities or even aggressive postures for a racer behind. He's gonna have to stick where he is for now. But the gap here for Vita right behind Raf Cab, potentially looking up the inside, but does think better of it. You don't want to draw a penalty at this point. You know you're not racing the car in front, and as much as it may suck that you're being held up, you just got to keep it clean from here on. But Vita had such good potential for this race. I mean, talking about where they qualified, 7th on the grid, down 5 positions now, still has to serve the drive-through penalty. I mean, this is a heartbreaker of a race so far for Vita.
For sure, yeah. I mean, started out at Ricard on fire. He had a great jump. We already mentioned he had the 2nd fastest lap last week at Indy. But he's a D5 driver coming back for a 2nd attempt last season. Last season was one to forget for him. He finished 34th in the season, and he's already shown better results this year, or this season. So big picture for him. Consider these improvements for something maybe bigger to come in the future.
Whoa, Ma! Whoa. That looked like it might have been a big moment for a second, but he got it under control. He's still trying to get past Guerrero. Brett Vaughn, I almost have half a mind to say that defensive drive of the day might just have to go to Roger Rodriguez. Either that or Raf Cab, who has just kept so many drivers at bay, but Rodriguez will not let Brett Vaughn by. Might have to go back in the broadcast and just count on-track overtakes. Raf Cab and Vita both in the pit right now. Vita serving that drive-through penalty, so we'll see where they come out. Looks like there's going to be roughly 6 to 8 positions lost for Vita from that drive-through. That is just brutal. I don't know what else to say. I mean, so much potential for this race squandered for this driver.
A couple of drivers who squandered. Race start, we had 3 drive-throughs. Red, the pole. That's going to be the biggest one.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about the opportunity for Red to move out in front on the driver's standings with Josh Grush having a, well, not necessarily a nightmare of a race. I mean, he's still in P6. It's going to be solid points, but Austin Red, if they didn't get that drive-through penalty on race start, they'd probably be out in the front right about now. And that's a whole nother thing in itself.
Yeah, more than likely leading too, because he has serious pace. One of the fastest drivers on the track, along with I believe Donovan Colton as well, being one of them.
It's ironic. I mean, look at the timing sheets. Donovan Colton's best lap so far, so 132.2. I see at least the 131. Actually, yeah, he is one of the faster drivers on track. I thought I saw more low 132s, but I think I'm just seeing things. But,
Picture in picture, you just saw Ma hit Greer coming down turn number 1.
oh, you're kidding.
Oh.
I did not see that. Was that a replay, or did you just now catch that?
That was a replay, and that was Ma, not Mar. Mar, your leader in the race, yet to pit though. He's running out of time. We'll have to make a stop. But it should be Donovan Colton, your leader, and it's by 7 seconds or so to Dan Rufus, then Tyler McCullough.
Ooh, speaking of, Dan Rufus just had a bit of a wide moment there at turn 8. It's now going to open up the opportunity for Tyler McCullough and Josh Grush behind to both make moves. If McCullough gets in front of Dan Rufus, there's no telling what they could do with a little bit of team orders, so to speak. But Dan Rufus did have an invalid lap on the last one, a 134.8 versus the 133.7, so lost a lot of time there, and I think had another mistake, as I mentioned, in the infield. So that might be the reason why these McLarens are closing up to the back of Dan Rufus now. Dan Rufus was up to 17 positions up in P4. Even if you lose both of these spots, this is the exact opposite scenario of Indianapolis last week. But here comes Tyler McCullough with a bit of the run on the main straight. He might have the opportunity to look up the inside, but he decides to keep it clean, stay behind, try to get a little bit of a better run here down towards turn 2. Maybe we can play a little bit of the patient game. There's still 6 minutes left. No need to go over aggressive.
Especially for Josh Grush, too. He's the third car in this picture. He's your championship leader. So this is Rufus, McCullough, and Grush battling for that last spot on the podium.
Spiker a little bit farther behind in 8th, battling Craig Marr for P7. This gap has come down significantly here in the last couple of corners. It looks like a 5 seconds slower lap for Craig Marr on the last lap, opening up the opportunity here for Spiker to get into the conversation. So keep an eye on this one as it develops. Oh, Spiker goes right around the outside here. There's no contest, and Craig Marr is out. Here comes Tyler McCullough up the inside of turn 8 past Dan Rufus. A nice and clean move there if you want to see about getting that one back and give him a little bit more of the spotlight. Dan Rufus not going to be too happy about that one. Josh Grush still has a little bit of traffic behind as well. They're thinking forward, but they also got to think backwards. That's Steven Music immediately behind in a like-for-like car battle. Dan Rufus a little bit wide at turn 12. Josh Grush is probably going to have the run here through turns 13 and 14 in that braking zone, but Steven Music is also in the conversation. They may be looking at a 3-wide scenario into turn 14. Dan Rufus in the middle, and no! Both cars get past Dan Rufus! A huge move for both Steven Music and Josh Grush. I can't believe it. How did they make that stick?
Wow!
Take a bow, Josh Grush. That's a championship move right there. To go around 2 drivers. What a move, Josh Grush. That's not a D5 move.
I got
Oh no, that's like, it's not, that's top division level right there. Wow.
I got like a little bit of spittle on my monitor. I'm getting so excited out here. Dan Rufus. Wait, Dan Rufus is in the pits? Dan Rufus hadn't served their pit stop yet. I didn't even realize. That might be why he was so willing to back out of that 3-wide. But, I mean, still, amazing racecraft from D5.
Like, wow.
Well, 4 minutes to go. Leaders of all pit now. It's Colton, McCullough, Grush, Music, Spiker.
Bert Mertzen on the main screen right now in front of Brett Vaughn, who goes for the move up the inside of turn 14. That's a nice dive from the 387, who's had a relatively solid race so far in terms of overtaking, but is still down more than a couple of positions. So Brett Vaughn, it might not be the result that you wanted, but you certainly put a lot on the table for us to think about in terms of racecraft. I see Josh Grush just got an invalid lap, and Josh Grush has got a drive-through penalty for track limits.
Oh no! Side by side with Steven Music, loses the position as Steven has the inside line, and oh man. You hate to see that. P4 having a good race. Josh Grush resulting in a drive-through at the final 3 minutes of the race.
Oh, you just saw Kovac.
Oh, man.
Kovac taking a little bit of avoiding action, who's had an amazing race so far, has Aaron Kovac up in position 11 right now, up to from their grid spot as well. Kovac, who has been finishing further down the field for most of these races, but is looking up towards the inside of turn 1, or maybe even a little bit defensive from the car behind. That's Herrera behind, who could certainly use one more position to cap off a phenomenal recovery drive after the drive-through penalty. Up the inside, contact is made on the 185, and David Herrera is really going for it right now. That's not the first time we've seen contact at turn 2 for the Ferrari of David Herrera, and it looks like they are going to concede the position back to Aaron Kovac before going for the switchback immediately.
Very good exit.
Not much more to say about that. Clean move at turn 3, maybe not so, or excuse me, turn 4, maybe not so at turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was 2. I didn't like that one as much. I don't think there was enough room for Herrera. He was too far back. But he a lot of moves from him from turn 2. With 2 minutes to go, Donovan Colton on the verge of something special here at Valencia. It's an 8-second gap to Tyler McCullough in second. 8 seconds. Steven Music looks to be rounding out that podium. Josh Grush has got to serve a drive-through. Your championship leader. Pulling in, watching this field, just going to be driving past him. It's got to be killer.
But he's got a reasonable gap, though. The 3.5. Oh, there's so many cars coming down the main straight right now. That's going to promote the 57. That's going to promote the 133. I see. Oh, Mertzen is well wide there. And this is a potential move. Mike Cowley and Craig Marr are having a bit of a go at it. Further down the field, I see Ian Demler is right up behind Dan Rufus. If you want to grab that on the picture-in-picture and see what's going on with that. But all the way down to the wire. The pit window is now closed. Everybody is in the position that they'll most likely finish the race in. Save for a couple of moves. David Herrera up the inside of Josh Grush at turn 2. And that's just another position lost. They're going to be fighting all the way down to the wire. Donovan Colton, this might be the checkered flag on this lap. He's about halfway through. It looks like he'll cross the line with a little bit of time left on the clock, so there might be one more to go. Dan Rufus did just get passed by Ian Demler. Austin Red is immediately behind. The gaps are so close for so many drivers here on the last couple of tours of the circuit Ricardo Tormo Valencia.
Man, the heat just got turned up on the final few minutes. Like, oh, well, everyone risks it. It's always like at the end of the race where it's just all or nothing. Every time.
It is going to be one more lap for Donovan Colton. 2.5 miles around Ricardo Tormo circuit here in Valencia. 2.72 of Donovan Colton with a 9-second lead.
Huge story right now for McCullough as well, but the gap is only 8 tenths behind. You have to clean up this one last lap. He's in P2 right now. It will be a phenomenal finish for McCullough this season, but he needs to keep it clean because Steven Music is sniffing up the diffuser. There shouldn't be an overtaking opportunity so long as you keep your line clean. David Herrera is going for a move on the main straight right now against that's DZ in front and does kind of make that posture. We've seen him so many times try it in turn 2. The gap only 2 tenths here, and Herrera wants one more overtake to try to cap it off. It's a little bit deep from DZ, and now up the inside goes the 313. He's gonna have the opportunity to go for the apex here in towards turn 3 and turn 4. Now the complex for the midfield as they go towards sector 2 on the final lap of the race. Almost a switch back from the 363, but Herrera stays in front. The apex, they're still going at it. I see a yellow flag for VT on the back, but I'm staying on this fight. If it kills me right now. David Herrera being forced on the outside now towards the back straight in the left-hand kink for turn 8. It's going to be DZ just ahead. I'm seeing more gaps still down low. Nathan Schaefer is right up behind Eric Rutherham. Austin Red behind Dan Rufus, Raf Cap, and Regalia Vital. That's well deep though from DZ. That's going to be more than one position loss if he plays it right. Donovan Colton comes across the line. I'm sorry we didn't quite catch that, but there's just so much happening here in the midfield. Steven Music, 0.4 behind Tyler McCullough, but will place P3. Craig Marr out of the final corner behind James Spiker. Mike Cowley immediately trails but David Herrera got that position from DZ. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot more in it for them in towards turn 14 unless there is an absolutely mega dive, and I just don't see it happening through the final corner. Herrera into P9 with DZ immediately behind for 10th, Josh Grush 11th, Aaron Kovac, a spectacular finish for him in 11th place. I see Austin Red immediately behind Dan Rufus. He's looking at it, turn 14, he motions towards the inside, tries to make the Porsche go a little bit narrow, and this could be the exit for Austin Red, but he doesn't quite get the power down that he needs. Dan Rufus is going to stay ahead of Austin Red. VTA is right behind Raf Cab, and overtake on the last lap, the 154 for the switchback. We're taking the bonnet cam here. And I think it's just going to be down to the line. I don't even see what the gap is. And there's going to be a photo finish with Raf Cab taking it from Raquel Vitia and JP May immediately behind. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Wow. Oh, this race has been, wow. What a finish.
Division 5 has been holding out on us. What is that?
It was Donovan Colton, though, who stole the show. The kid from Park City, Utah, started sim racing 2 months ago. The rookie gets his first career win at SRA, his first podium at SRA, and he's on the top. Donovan Colton.
Hang on, I gotta see. Oh, no donuts for Donovan Colton. He's back in the pit lane.
Oh, he got some earlier. We did have some. During all that madness of the last lap, there was some donuts there in his Aston Martin in T1.
Well, I'm glad he went to the bakery. We'll bring it back now to us here. Oh my God. That was far and away the best race of the season. There is no doubt in my mind. Cleanest race so far by quite a margin. Even a couple of incidents that we saw, it was mostly sportsmanlike on allowing drivers to go back past. There might be a couple that are penalty worthy, but certainly not the same as Indianapolis last week. I'm impressed, to say the least.
Oh. Wow. I'm just speechless. That was amazing.
It might have been for 19th position, but Raf Cab and Regele Vita are going at it all the way down to the wire. I need to know what that gap was. I need to know what that gap was, because it can't have been more than a couple of thousandths of a second between them. I'd be willing to bet that a little bit of desync would have seen one of them think that they were across the line before the other.
Yeah.
I'm looking down the list now. Raf Cab, race time 1 hour, 2 minutes, 29 seconds, .758. Regele Vita in P20, 1 hour, 2 minutes, 29 seconds, .762. 4 thousandths of a second down to the wire.
Oof.
Well, a recap of your podium: Donovan Colton, Tyler McCullough, and Steven Music. I believe these are 3 drivers all getting their first podium here this season.
Is that true? Did we not see Donovan Colton on the podium before? Not at Paul Ricard? No, not at Paul Ricard.
No, fourth.
Barely missed out.
It was 4th at Paul Ricard. Yeah.
That's right.
I remember we talked about that being one of the big stories is Donovan Colton. We expected that he was going to be promoted to the podium after Draka Tibbets took the drive-through penalty, but he still ended in 2nd place to Draka Tibbets. So, yeah, first podium and first win for Donovan Colton, at least this season. And as you mentioned, he's pretty much brand new. There's not much more to be said about it. I mean, what a drive. And for Tyler McCullough as well, he's not had a very good season so far. Ends in P2, only roughly 8-9 seconds behind the lead. Had Steven Music immediately behind. A huge drive for James Spiker, who, if I recall correctly, qualified in 16th position, right next to teammate Tyler Thompson. So that's a 4th place finish for James Spiker, a 7th place finish for Tyler Thompson. So, of course, Spazzatura doing an amazing job keeping their lead in the team standings. Craig Marr in 5th place, a massive one for him. He was lower down in the midfield at Indianapolis. Mike Cowley in P6. Not much more to be said about this. Basically, the entirety of the top 10 are brand new drivers to the top 10, except for Spiker and Thompson. as far as just massive placements go. Roderick's in P8. Huge drive for him. David Herrera might be the overall driver of the day. Sure, he got a little bit scrappy at turn 2 with Raf Cap a couple of times. And yes, it was aggressive, but it was a good aggressive in a lot of scenarios. I mean, space was afforded more often than not, and I was impressed.
Well, we got any time to get any of the drivers through. If you want to start doing that, I can thank the people who make this all possible.
We'll take a look. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and knock some of that out and see who we got to pull in.
Well, while we get some drivers in here and our podium finishers, a huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enjoy your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. Our affiliates, Track Racer, experienced redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. And our Track Racer fastest lap of the race, Ian Demler. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that'll enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And lastly, AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience with premium 3D printed accessories featuring precision crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance your performance. Elevate every lap with top-tier quality and craftsmanship from at3d.net. I believe a new addition to our supporters here at SRA.
Indeed. I see, as I get a look down the list, James Spiker, we're going to get him in here. But before we do that, we got to say hello to race winner Donovan Colton. So I'm going to bring him on into the chat now. Welcome, sir, to the post-race interview. You got some donuts. Well-deserved visit to the bakery after a P1 finish here at Valencia. Tell us what went through your head after you saw that the leader, Austin Red, the pole sitter, had a drive-through off the start. What were you thinking?
Well, at first I felt like terrible because he's been so fast the last couple of days. So, I mean, I was a little bit bummed for him, and then I was like, wait a second, I'm in second. And I was like, I just got to be as clean. I mean, this whole week I've been thinking this race has to be clean for me. I have to be clean. And I mean, Valencia, I mean, it turned into like my therapy track this week, basically. I ran like 400 laps on it. And yeah, I was just like, man, I just need to have as clean as possible. So that was basically my only plan.
I think I can
Donovan, I gotta know. Donovan, I gotta know. Did Grams tune in? Please tell me.
Yes, that's a good question.
Into the stream this week.
Yeah, I hope she's listening right now. I hope she did. I'll have to ask her.
Well, if you want to give a shout out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're watching, Graham, I love you. Thanks for watching.
That is awesome, Donovan. That is awesome. Hey, man, first career podium, first career win. How's the sim racing experience been the last 2 months? This is hard. Sim racing and wins don't come around very often. We say that before, but you're making noise here in the D5 Championship.
Man, I mean, it's been great. SRA has been so awesome. Like, this came at a good time in my life, and I, needed something to work on. So, I mean, this has just been awesome. I mean, this community is so cool to race with and so cool to chat with every day. And yeah, so I mean, I'm loving it.
Well, 110 points in this last race. I mean, just a phenomenal finish. Josh Grush, also kind of suffered a similar fate to Austin Red, ended up falling a little bit down the order, so you gained a heck of a lot of points. And as I see it right now on the website, it looks like, save for the drop race, you are currently in the lead in the overall standings. I did say critically safe for the drop race, so you still have some work to do, but this is certainly a massive bonus. I mean, 57 points for Josh Grush this race, 40 points for Austin Red, who I believe this is currently Austin Red's drop race. You got 110 points. So you are pretty much on top of the world right now. Pretty much a shoo-in for, I think, P2 in the overall standings right about now.
Oh wow.
What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
I have no idea. I'm just I'm trying to do as well as I can, but at the same time, Indy was the first one that I felt like I was trying a little bit more for pace rather than cleanliness, and I really paid for it. I mean, that was a tough race. So this one, my mind was just like, man, I need to go back to just being pure, as clean as possible. So.
Well, it seemed to work out for you. I think I speak for all of us when I say that we would have been absolutely shattered if you took a drive-through penalty. So thanks for not doing that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I got two warnings, and I'm like, I'm not getting a third warning, and that's it. 2 warnings, and that's all I need.
Yeah, I can speak from experience already this season. I had a devastating moment where I took a track limits. I took my last track limit violation on the second to last lap of Paul Ricard and dropped 8 positions. So I'm so glad that you did not have the same thing, because I can't imagine dropping out of the lead with that, much less 16th place, which is a much less impressive finish. But yeah, I mean, you got to be feeling confident after the win. There's still 3 rounds to go, so you could potentially make some waves yet. But are you thinking about that overall win, or are you just trying to have some fun and keep it clean?
I mean, I'd be lying if it wasn't in the back of my head, but I'm really trying not to. I'm trying to just, have fun and keep it clean, and also treat it like it's fun. This week, a couple times I was like, especially yesterday and the day before, I was chasing, way too fast at times, or a lot faster times than I am capable of doing. And even today, I was almost bummed with my 31.8 in quali. And so but then after the race started, and I was like, oh, I just gotta chill out. And so, I mean, I think that's the right mentality for me, is to just chill out, not worry about positions or anything like that, and just clean and have fun.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, the moment you have that mindset, your race just unfolds for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Donovan Colton, you're the celebrity tonight. Party in Park City, Utah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's freezing and snowing outside, but
Yeah. At least it wasn't that way on the track tonight.
yeah. I mean, I had a couple lag spikes, so it was a little sketchy a couple times, but fortunately, internet wasn't, full of tomfoolery or anything. So.
Well, congratulations on the win. Again, if you have any last thoughts before we send you on out, now's the time.
No, just thanks to you guys, and thanks to everyone at SRA. It's been a great 5 races so far. So.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing more of you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yep. Thank you.
Donovan Colton, your winner for tonight, had a lot to say, and with good reason. I mean, that was such a just a phenomenal drive for him. And I was talking about the driver standings a little bit. I'm looking at it right now, and I think I said he was a shoo-in for second place. I don't think it's necessarily true. I think I might have done a little bit of caster math there, but he sure is in the conversation for the lead now.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with Josh Grush, right? Taking that penalty so late in the race with the drive-through, that's going to hurt him. That's going to shorten up the field. Grush and Red are still going to be super close. Tyler Thompson was in the mix. I think he finished ahead of both of those drivers. So it's going to come down. I think the points between the top 5, they're going to be within 20 to 30 points of each other now.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. We'll get James Spiker in next. Yeah, he had a pretty phenomenal drive. So we'll say hello to Mr. Spiker. Welcome to the commentary booth, my friend. You had a phenomenal drive.
Hello.
I mean, both you and your teammate Tyler Thompson tonight. I mean, it was a somewhat unimpressive qualifying, but you made it up for it.
Yeah, we kept invalidating during qualifying. I think both our laps, both our qualifying sessions, we just kept messing up our final corner. So our qualifying wasn't where we wanted to be, so we opted for the pit lap 1 strategy to get clean air and just be able to hot lap basically until other people pitted. It worked out beautifully for me. I got held up maybe a couple times, like Rafcab fought me a little bit. And then I actually did a little cheeky move on Mr. Marr at the end of the race, where as soon as he came out of the pits, I just flashed my lights once, seeing if he might think I was going to be like a blue flag car, and he let me through, thinking I was the leader of a race. And it gained 1 more position at the end doing that, and then I just had to defend it. It was a very fun race.
That actually happened?
yeah, I flashed my lights at him going through turn 2 right after that, and he let me through the next turn.
I'm almost certain that we probably caught that at some point, but there was so much happening on the last couple of laps that we didn't see it specifically. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but there were a lot of very, very small gaps at the very end of the race. So I guess congratulations on that one. We certainly saw you move up though, and I mean, speaking on moving up, Corsa Spazzatura maintains their spot at the top of the team standings. We thought after watching the qualifying there might be some potential for other teams to get back into it, but your race pace was strong for both of you guys. I mean, I saw as well you took home a win in a smaller endurance race over the weekend, so congratulations on that. And then you had a solid SRA race to boot, just barely missing out on the podium. I mean, what are your thoughts moving forward as far as the team standings go?
Honestly, team standings are our number one priority. So we focus a lot of our practice time on race pace. It's something we started doing after Kyalami, where we had a great qualifying and it just went downhill after that. So that's something we've been focusing on mainly to try to focus on winning that team series or the team championship, because that's our number one focus. And I'm just trying to get used to the car a lot, and it's feeling really nice right now.
Well, it's really showing there, James. 7 out of the possible 12 results this season, 7 of them have been in the top 10, and no one's even close.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been really great. It's been just a lot of fun, really. I'm really enjoying SRA right now.
Yeah. Steven Music did finish ahead of you in class at the very least in the silver. Sorry, Selena. I'll give you the floor in a second here. But I do want to get your thoughts. Yeah, my apologies. Steven Music finished ahead of you in the silver class, but you still lead them by something in the driver standings. Do you have any thoughts about that necessarily, or are you happy to take home P2?
I'm happy to take. I think it's P3 because I thought
it's P3.
Mr.
Tyler
McCullough was ahead as well. Yeah. So third in the standings. It's honestly, I'm not too upset about it. I can't really be upset about being third in anything really. I feel like it's still a good result. Of course, would have liked to be ahead, create that bigger gap. But so far, at least my main championship rivals right now didn't have the race I had, so I'll take that as a positive and keep going towards Spa.
Selena?
Yeah, I can't even remember what I was gonna say after that actually, but that's okay. But it was just amazing to see that nice comeback. I believe Indy wasn't our. I can't remember. Did you have like a good race at Indy? I can't remember.
Indy, I finished P9, and then with penalties, I moved up to P7. So I gained 2 spots after that. I had a good race for. For Indy. I think I've just qualified P15 as well, something around there, and just kind of moved up throughout the race. Yeah, Paul Ricard.
Snedderman and Indy were your good finishes.
Yep, and so I think Centerton I finished, what was it, 4th as well.
4th.
So I got 2 top 4s. I like to call it the Hulkenberg special. Don't get on the podium, but almost there. So you know what? They're good results, and I'll keep hoping to get them.
Yeah, well, you've been really steady, so honestly, yeah, you've got the pace, you've got it.
Thank you.
Well, good luck the rest of the way, James, leading the silver championship and leading the team championship, and still 3 races to go.
Yep, it'll be a fun end to the season. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for commentating every week. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for racing. It was a wonderful one today. We hope to see you have a good result next week.
Thank you.
James Spiker. P3 in class. I did not even realize that as I was going through it. I was checking the standings, and I didn't even realize it was, of course, Tyler McCullough, which was the silver winner for today. But I was going back through the ACC, the Sim Racing Alliance site. I did notice while I was scrolling through, actually, there's a nice little tab on the top of the driver standings that shows you drop races versus no drop races. And as it happens, Donovan Colton has 335 points after the drop races are accounted for, which puts him solidly in P1. So I lied to him directly to his face. I have since remedied that. I made sure to message him in chat, but he is leading the driver's standings. So not only a fantastic finish for him tonight, but it puts him all the way out in front.
That's 4 different race winners, too, we've had this season. So the trend's obviously not going to break. I think this is going to come down to the last week. Now we thought it was Grush versus Austin Red. here comes Donovan Colton.
I'm going to see about... Well, I want to see if we can get one
Tyler,
more.
if we could. Tyler McCullough, I think.
He
Probably a
is
good one to get.
Geffen, though,
He's in
but
there.
I'm
Let me see.
not sure.
We'll see if we can't get him in there. It would be nice to have some thoughts, of course, from him. I mean, going back through his results, I mean, Indianapolis was not necessarily an amazing outing for McCullough. Ended up in 32nd after a 15-second time penalty. So for him, this is going to be an amazing, I guess, I wouldn't necessarily say return to form, but kind of a demonstration of what he can do if he has the consistency. I mean, going back again, 21st after some penalties at Paul Ricard for McCullough was 15th place at Snetterton, which is a fairly respectable result, but not anywhere close to what we saw here today. Did he even race in the first one? I don't believe he did race at Kyalami. So yeah, with a previous best finish of 50. P15, placing right up there at the top, not only P2 in the race, but P1 in class. And it looks like he is available. So I'm going to pull him in now to the commentators chat for the final interview of the day. We have Mr. Tyler McCullough for P1 in class and P2 overall. Fantastic drive from you, sir.
Who would have thought we would have seen the day?
First career podium, right? And your first top 10.
Hopefully many, many more. I feel so bad because Josh has been like consistently pulling us to this championship, especially keeping us in the top 3 of overall standings. And last at Indy, I slipped on some grass. I got basically spun myself out, rejoined on track, got booted out, later down, got booted out again, and had to retire the car. So I'm glad I was finally able to put my head out of my butt and be able to bring in P2 and be able to keep us out on top, even though Josh last second, I think within like the last 4 or 5 laps, got a track cut while he was in P3 right behind me. So that shot us down tremendously. But he's been carrying the weight, so I think it's time for him to have a break and be able to relax a little bit, and hopefully then we could stay consistent with each other throughout the rest of the season.
I mean, going back to that as well, talk about how Grush clearly has historically been the better placing, potentially the quicker of the two of you, but you passed him on track as well. I mean, he made a bit of a mistake on exit turn 12 and kind of let you by, which was nice to see, a little bit of team cooperation, but you passed him fair and square. So you talk about how you've been, well, not exactly the breadwinner for your team, but it's definitely a wonderful way to turn over a new leaf for the second half of the season.
Yeah, and we've been communicating with each other. Obviously, we're in team chat. We go back and forth with each other the entire time about what's going on with the track. We every yellow flag we repeat, every entrance we repeat, every exit of the pits we repeat. Every time there's a car left, car right, we repeat. We are constantly communicating with each other while we're in the driver's seat. So like our comms are pretty spot on with each other. And the same thing would have happened last week at Indy. I believe I was in 4th place and he was in 2nd. And again, if I wouldn't have spun out on the grass lap 3, lap 4. That could have been a double podium as well. So it's literally about me just pulling my head out of my butt and staying consistent and being able to stay there for Josh when he needs me the most.
We'll leave the floor open for my co-commentators here to throw some questions your way. I'm sure we've got a little bit to talk about.
Well, what's the drink of choice? First podium, first career SRA podium.
So it's actually funny you say this. No shot. Josh and I have made it. Starting SRA, every podium we drink, no matter what. No matter if it's a shot, if it's a beer, no matter what it may be. So I'm sure after this we'll relax. He'll probably want one, obviously being frustrated with a penalty, as he should be. So we'll be able to relax and both go grab a bottle out of the fridge and be able to celebrate together. So we're super happy about that after race. We have something to look forward to as well. And it kind of relaxes us and lets us joke around and, talk about they're consistently grinding all week because, I mean, we're on every other day, if not every day, for 2-3 hours practicing track on track, bouncing ideas off of each other and making sure holding each other accountable, especially in the team series. I feel like that's what it's all about. So we stay pretty good on top of that. And like I said earlier, I'm pretty damn happy to be able to finally pull weight for our team and represent Fear Nothing Moto. So.
P3 in the standings right now, roughly 100 points behind Corsa Spazzatura. So you definitely still have a shot. And if you keep up your placements like you got today, then I have no doubt then we'll be talking about you for weeks to come. So congratulations on the finish again. If you have any final things to say, or if anybody else has any more questions, now would be the time.
If you guys have nothing, my biggest thing, I just want to say thank you to the team. Fear Nothing Moto, we've been put together less than 2 months, 3 months now. All of us have been handpicked basically from different locations and different regions around the world. Whether I told you earlier, Andrew, whether Selena wants to admit it or not, I'm actually here because of her. I saw a edit that she had done over Reddit, and we had talked back and forth, and she had told me about SRA. I had no idea what in the world it was. I had no idea that there were competitive sim leagues like this. I literally threw down my Xbox controller and bought a sim rig setup and have been on it for 3 or 4 weeks now, and am super happy to be here. So thankfully, because of you guys and the welcoming community, and you guys putting your time in, the admins putting their time in, it's been able to give me opportunity to show out, do good for my team, hopefully put For Nothing Moto up top once again, and continue staying consistent and bringing home podiums.
Nice. Yeah, well, it's great to have you here.
I know, it's nice finally speaking to you. Who would have thought?
Yeah. And now you're on podium, so there you go.
But if I ever get pulled out of this vision, I'm going to throw a damn hissy fit, because you guys are the absolute best. Like, if we get moved up, I'm going to throw a rager for you guys to go with, because you guys do a tremendous job every single week, and not only on a rewatching and watching standpoint, but all of us who have family and friends, and you guys are definitely tremendously part of the experience. So we're all very, very appreciative of you and happy to have you guys here representing D4.
Well, that's so nice. D4, it might as well be, honestly. I mean,
D5, tonight, whichever it is.
After tonight, you could have fooled me, but thanks so much. And you guys really put on a show for us tonight. So if you guys keep up with that, then I can almost guarantee you that we're going to be satisfied with things. So thanks so much for joining us. And once again, congratulations. First podium. You should definitely be spending a lot of time celebrating that one.
Absolutely, and thank you guys. Seriously, it means the world to us. So thank you guys for putting your volunteer hours and spending time doing this every single week. From all the drivers, from me, and definitely going to SRA. We appreciate all of you guys. So thank you.
And thank you. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one, guys.
You too.
Tyler McCullough. And a phenomenal way to end the night. I mean.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Same as the other two drivers we brought in, Colton and Spiker, yeah, had a lot to say, and with good, with, I guess, good reason,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he said it himself, too. It was Josh Grush really pulling the weight on the team. And today it was Tyler who did the job. And just when Grush needed help, right, serves a drive-through. And who's right there to back him up and get the podium? His teammate.
So coming to a close here, season 10. I mean, well, it's taken a turn for the better. Let's just say that. Round 5, second half of the season, very first round of the second half of the season, and the racing got way better. The sportsmanship was on a huge upswing, and let's just say that Division 5 last week. It wasn't necessarily the week that we wanted. We talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast. There were many a penalty to be doled out. I don't think that was nearly the same case so far. Valencia has proved to be an astounding racetrack for our entertainment, and I can only hope that Spa on the next go-around in the wet can provide a similar level of entertainment for us. So I have to say I'm quite looking forward to it now. I hope that we get another performance exactly like this one.
Yeah, agreed.
And
man, I'm just speechless from that race. Crazy. Yeah. So much action going on, so much great overtakes. I mean, really looking forward to Spa in the wet. And so tune in for that in 2 weeks' time after the break from St. Paddy's Day next week.
Yeah. Critically worth noting, looking forward to watching the race. I can't say that I personally am looking forward to racing the race, but I suppose that time will come when it does. But I want to thank you guys both for being on with me. It was a phenomenal experience. I hope that you felt the same. And of course, as you mentioned, Selena, 2 weeks' time, it's going to be Spa in the Wet right here on this channel with us, your I would hope to say, I guess it's kind of self-serving to say illustrious hosts on our own broadcast, but I think that we do a pretty banging job, and it seems like most of the people tend to agree with us, which is very kind to hear those words for them. But yeah, next time around, 2 weeks from now, Spa in the wet, as I mentioned on this channel. But there's going to be more racing tomorrow on the YouTube and on the Twitch. You can find the according links in the SRA Discord if you would like to join up there and get a little bit more information. As you might have heard from one Tyler McCullough, it is quite a surprisingly good community that you might not have heard of. So if you enjoyed the racing, if you enjoy racing, then this is the place to be. But that's going to be it for our show tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, Division 5 delivering well and truly tonight. Again, thanks to my co-commentators, thanks to the admins, thanks to all the drivers who make this all possible. So we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Again, Spa-Francorchamps in the wet. We'll see you then.